welcome back to Ian's Allotment Diaries. Thanks for coming back and visit me again. On my last video I asked whether people had enjoyed the plot tour, and I didn't actually post a video of a plot tour. So I'm going to put that right today. Do a quick plot tour so you guys can see exactly how my plot is laid out, the size that it is. It's not the biggest plot in the world. It's about 250 square metres. So as I say, it's only a small site we have here, so the plots are not too big. But I'll take it around, show you what I've got, show you how the beds are laid out, and then maybe have a quick chat on what plans I've got for this growing year. So why don't you come and join me on the plot. So here we are on my very first plot tour, late January 2022, and it's an absolutely gorgeous morning. I'm first on the site today, there's nobody here yet, so I'll just give you a quick idea of how our site looks. And this here is my shed and my water butts. Invaluable to have your own water butts, really, especially being fed from the roof of the shed. Nice natural rainwater, does a fantastic job. So it's invaluable to have one of them, really. So as you've seen before, this is my shed. This is my external potting table. So when the weather's good, this is where I stand most of the time, potting on and sowing seeds. Got the rest of my stuff underneath, underneath the bed there, underneath the table I should say. And this here is my greenhouse, which I inherited. Take a quick look inside the greenhouse. Got some bits on the go, as you can imagine. Got some alliums there, some onions for this year, white onions. Started them early January, had them in the propagator. I've took the propagator lid off just so you can have a quick look at them. Started these off on the windowsill at home, brought them down here a fortnight ago, and they've sat in the polytunnel within a propagator just to give them a double skin of protection. This is my potting table in the greenhouse when the weather's not so good. I just knocked that up myself. I've got all my bits here for my sowing of seeds. I've got this seed tray which I made myself. So that, I love that actually, that's one of my most favourite bits of kit. This side I've got a bit of staging, got my potatoes on the go, chitting, secondaries and main crop. I'll just quickly show you these. These are all seed potatoes, and these here are some shop bought potatoes, and I'm going to do a little experiment this year because they're chitting really well. So these are the same variety of potato, Maris Piper main crop. So these are ones shop bought for eating, and they're seed potatoes for growing. So I'm going to put them in exactly the same conditions and just see how they compare between the seed potatoes growing and the shop bought, and see if we can get a decent crop off them. Got some more potatoes there, some shallots, prepping them. Inside these propagators here I have some more onions, and I think I've got some shallots on the go as well. Now yeah, I've got some red Byron onions, and I've also got some Zebruna shallots which I've never grown before, and I'm growing them from seed. I'm going to see how they go. So this is my greenhouse. Now we'll move on further up into the plot. So I created that path there. All of this area was one big mound, and it all ran down because my plot runs from top to bottom. We're towards the bottom of the plot now, and it was all sloped down, right down and into the greenhouse, and it wasn't great. So I put that boarding in, which is boarding I salvaged off a building site, and then managed to level the plot off somewhat and create a bed there. We're just going to move now off the bottom plot into the top plot. We have a bed there. All of this area is going to be alliums this year. I had potatoes in it last year, and it was really disappointing, to be fair. For the work that went into preparing the beds and planting the potato tubers, I wasn't happy with the results. So this year, taking a tip off a lot of YouTubers, I'm going to container grow my potatoes and see how they go. So we've got a bed there. We've got some sets of onions in there. I've never grown from sets before. I grew onions last year. I had a fantastic crop off it, but it was all from seed. I seen these going cheap in the local superstore, so I decided to pick some up and see how they go. So we'll see what happens there. But as you've seen in the greenhouse, I've planted plenty of onion seeds. So if these don't turn out well, I'm sure my onion seeds will. Some of last year's leeks that went in fairly late last year, after the potatoes come out, leeks went in and they've overwintered there. They don't look great, to be fair, but we'll see how they go. This top bed that has got my garlic in. That went in a little bit late, actually. It should have gone in earlier, but anyway, if I come down, you should be able to see that it's doing quite well, that bed. Almost all of the stations have taken. I don't really can make them out. And that bed was all composted with my own made compost. That's why there's some quite big bits in it, but it's better than buying compost from a shop. There's another bed. We have these raised beds I made myself as I went along. I got the plot back end of 2020, and as you can imagine, with most new plot holders, they inherit a mess, really. So this area was just a mess. There was no formal beds here whatsoever. Again, everything just dropped away to the bottom end of the plot. So salvaged timber, made some beds just so it was more manageable and easier and better laid out. And also it's because we go downhill, it's all terraced down, so we step down but the beds are all level. So that's these beds. I think this year these beds are gonna have, I think maybe root vegetables. I can't remember now. I do have a plan, but the plan's in the shed, so I haven't decided yet exactly how I'm gonna go. That's definitely going to be a carrot bed. They were a big failure of mine last year. Carrot root fly attacked them when they were doing well, and they couldn't be used. They were not good eating. So that's going to be my carrot bed this year, and I've got some sprouts left. And I've bought some veggie mesh to protect it. This here is my cold frame that I made. I'll quickly show you that. And that just opens up like that, each of them. That was invaluable last year, this cold frame, because as you could see, I didn't have my polytunnel then. I only had my greenhouse, and when my seedlings needed potting on, I had nowhere for them to go, so I created that. I created the cold frame, and everything before it went into the ground went in there and got itself prepared for the cooler temperatures outside of the greenhouse. These beds I inherited, although they were not timber clad then, so I inherited these beds on the bottom plot, and the layout and the design has not changed at all except for the polytunnel. So these beds were all made from plastic panelling, and the beds were fine, but they were all shapes and sizes, so I've adjusted them as much as I can, and then I've clad them in timber. And the reason I clad them in timber is, if you can see here in this bed, you can see what they were made of, this like plastic sheeting, but it was incredibly sharp on the edges, and you walk past it, it could just open your leg up. So I've clad the beds, kept them where they are, straightened them as best I can, and I've clad them in timber and stained them. And it just takes them sharp edges off for whether it be myself, the dogs, or when the grandkids come down. So that's the bottom end of the plot, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those beds. They're all going to be brassicas then this year. Right, this bed is the biggest bed on the allotment, and it had all of my brassicas in last year, and I'll try and put up a picture of it when it was full of crop, because it was a sight to behold. I was so happy with how this bed turned out last year and the amount of produce I got from it. It was fantastic. As you can see, it's got new homemade compost on it at the minute, which I put on yesterday. A good 2.5 inch thick layer. It was about half a cubic metre of compost in my bin, and yet it enabled me to spread it right across a bed of that size. So it just shows you how far it can go if you're prepared to make your own compost, because to compost as effectively as that with bulk compost will cost me a fortune. But when you look at that, that is all free. It may have some big lumps in it and bits and bobs, and one or two bits that have not yet rotted down, but that's simply because I only added some of them bits a number of weeks ago. But it's around 7-8 months old, that compost, and I'm really hopeful that I'll get some fantastic results out of that this year. Let's see here, this bottom corner of the bed, this one you may have seen on the last video. This is where my parsnips came out of. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stations left. Them parsnips will see us through the winter. This had our beetroot in last year, and we've still got some beetroot in there now. And if you look at the size of some of these, I'll take that home today and a couple of others. That's not a bad sized beetroot. I've got a few more there, so I'll be taking them home with me today. Nice goat's cheese and beetroot flan, my favourite. This is one of the beds I've not yet clad. It's the only one I'm not yet clad, and as you can see, if I get down here, what I was saying earlier, just how sharp these edges are. So this is the last bed to be done. As soon as I get the timber for that, that'll be getting done. Okay, so we walk around here. There's some of my pots and containers for my potatoes this year, I spoke about earlier. Come round here, this is my compost bins which I made. Each of them are around a square cubic metre when they're full. That one I emptied yesterday, and that was holding the compost that I put on the bed yesterday, the way I've just shown you. I've got another compost bin there. They're all pretty much empty at the minute. Another one there, and then this one on the end is full of relatively fresh horse manure. I got a delivery 4 weeks ago from a friend of mine. Put it into this bay, and when it went in, the temperature was 10 degrees, and then over the next couple of weeks, that temperature got right up to 55, just almost towards the red hot range on, there we go, on the thermometer. Now I'll do a video next week regarding this, what I'm going to do with this compost, and the sort of temperatures and the things you can do to get the ideal temperature, which is that green zone. And the green zone is when it's active. So I'll put that back in. As you can see, it's cooled right down now. The temperature gauge is showing exactly 15 degrees. So later on today I will be turning this manure into this bay, and then by turning it and dropping it in there, hopefully that'll fire up the microbes and microorganisms again and get the temperature back up into the active range, and then continue to compost it down. This manure won't be getting used till next winter, late next autumn, next winter, so it's got all year to compost down and to cure. So this will go into that bay this weekend, and then next week I've got a new load of manure coming, which will go into bay 1, and then I'll repeat the process. What will happen 4 weeks after that, bay 2 will go into bay 3, bay 1 will go into bay 2, and then this one will be filled with another load of horse manure, and I'll repeat the process, and then that'll sit in there for the best part of a year and compost right down and mature. Right, polytunnel. This polytunnel's new. I didn't have it last year. So I'll just show it from outside. I put this up late last year. Took out 3 of the old beds, created a frame, bought the polytunnel, which was relatively cheap online. It's only about 175 quid. So it's not, it's not the greatest polytunnel in the world, but it's my first one, and I'm hoping to get good results out of it. So I'll just quickly show you inside. I've got some stations there where my tomatoes are going to go. This side is going to be chilies and peppers. Where the station is there, that's got the overwinter and strawberries at the minute. I'll have cucumber, because that staging will come out. There's my frame there, my hazel frame for my beans, which I'll probably do a video on that when that comes out. That's my polytunnel. It's I think it's 2 meters by 4 meters, so it's a great space, and I just can't wait to use it this year. So spin around one more time. Nearly done now. Now we'll move into the wildlife area. One of the first things we did when we got the plot is we put the pond in. Now, just quickly before I show you the pond, this is a pear tree that we inherited. Now it's a grafted pear tree, so you can see 2 trunks. So the left hand trunk produces conference pears, and the right hand trunk produces like a dry pear. I'm not sure of the variety, but we've not had a great deal of success with that. So last year I pruned it quite heavily, so I've got a lot of foliage, not a lot of fruit, and then I'm hoping this year with a very, very light pruning we'll get more fruit. Right, into this wildlife area again. I'll just show you. That was a bug house that I made a couple of weeks ago, so I'll be making another one of them in a couple of weeks, and I'll just show you how easy they are to make. A couple of bits of scrap wood and some old canes, and you've got yourself a bug house. So we move around to here. First thing we did when we got the plot 18 months ago was put a wildlife pond in, and it's probably my favourite area. It was only in a matter of weeks late last winter, and the frogs found it, and it was full of frog spawn within a couple of weeks. It was really, really successful, and it's absolutely alive in the summer. So that was a great success. So we had frog spawn, loads of tadpoles, and then as the year progressed, lots and lots of frogs all over the allotment. I'll step back here, make sure I don't trip. It's a great area to sit in the summer. That's our little bench. Tuck myself away. You become enveloped all around here with flowers and fragrance. Absolutely fantastic place to sit. Probably my favourite part of the allotment when I'm not working, somewhere to sit down. This area here, as I say, still the wildlife area, but what we've managed to do here is we've got some of our fruits. So what we have some inherited raspberry canes down here, which might be quite difficult to see at the minute. Last year I bought 3 bare root fruit trees. This is the first one. This is damson, and then as we move across here, this one is plum, and then we move across and we have a cherry. Now they all took quite well, but they're very young trees, obviously no fruit on them yet, but they did leaf up, had nice foliage on, so I'm hoping that they'll eventually mature into some fantastic fruiting trees. Rhubarb we inherited, are starting to pop up already. And as I say, this is just a really nice area for the wildlife. And talking of wildlife, I'll just show you very, very quickly. It's my bird box I put up last year. Blue tits were nested in that and fledged their young, so absolutely over the moon. It had only been up, I got it up early enough in the year so that they were able to get in and get prepared. I've got another bird box tucked away there. Nothing in that last year, a different type of bird box. Hopefully maybe, I don't know, maybe blackbird, thrush, robin might use it with a bit of luck. And I'm going to do more. Oh, there's Mr. Robin there. I don't know whether you guys can see him, but Mr. Robin has just come to say hello. He visits me all the time. He's always buzzing about here, especially when I'm in the compost bins, moving stuff around. So that's the plot from this side. And I'll just go up to the top of the plot now. Oh, very, very quickly, just before I finish the video, I was just showing you the blue tip box. I took out the nest a couple of weeks ago to clean up. And make it ready for this year. And I hope you can see that, but that was the gorgeous little box-shaped nest that the blue tits made with a lovely little cup inside, where the eggs and chicks were for a number of weeks. So put that back in there. Right now, dogs are really interested in what I'm doing, as you can see. We've got Camo Dog and Harlequin Dog. You okay, Dot? You're going to start in a video. Are you okay, Stu? I'll throw your ball in a second, okay? Right, so we'll just very quickly walk up to the top of the plot now. And I'll show you the view from there. And then that is the plot tour completed. I'll just show you now the full panoramic of my little allotment, which I absolutely adore, and I just love being up here. So there we have it. That's Ian's allotment. Now I'm going to have to throw this ball for Stewie because he won't leave me alone until I do so. Will you, Stu? Do I need to throw the ball? As you can see, he's waiting for me to throw that, so I will just very quickly give him a little play and then I'll get on with my work. So there we have it. I hope you enjoyed my plot tour. You can see what I've got, and then please join me throughout the year and see how the bed's filled, how the plot comes on, and just see whether we're successful in our growing year. Now if you've enjoyed the video, please subscribe or press like, and then that gives me the encouragement to make more videos, basically. So hopefully you've enjoyed it, and hopefully I'll see you again. See you soon. Bye for now.